The zombie virus erupted suddenly, and the gloom of the apocalypse instantly enshrouded the earth. We had previously stockpiled a large quantity of supplies in the conference room. We had thought we could wait for rescue with peace of mind, yet that damned leader and colleagues chose to create trouble at this critical moment. In the apocalypse, order completely collapsed. Those who had seemed decent on ordinary days finally revealed their hideous true colors. However, they had picked the wrong person this time. On September the third day of the zombie virus outbreak, the city had already completely fallen. There was no electricity, no water, no mobile phone signal, and there was no hope of rescue arriving. From time to time, the terrifying roars of zombies could be heard all around through the cracks in the windows. I saw more than once those desperate survivors being caught by zombies. Then they were torn to pieces. Those broken corpses stood up shakily and joined the terrifying zombie horde. My boyfriend, Shin-Jan, and I were relatively fortunate when the zombie virus broke out. It was rush hour after work. We fled in panic and rushed into the company. We just wanted to find a place to take refuge in the conference room on the 8th floor. We met General Manager Zhang and other leaders and colleagues from the company. They were carrying boxes of food. These foods were prepared in advance by the company for the anniversary celebration. I pleaded bitterly with General Manager Zhang to let Shin-Jan and me stay with food and a shelter. We could hold out until the rescue arrived. General Manager Zhang smiled and just asked us to help carry the remaining food in and seal the door with sundries. He also smiled and encouraged us to wait patiently for rescue, saying that the company would never abandon any employee. The food and water stored in the conference room were sufficient for everyone to survive for a month. General Manager Zhang's words rekindled hope in the almost desperate crowd. However, I always felt that there was a hint of indescribable venom in the way he looked at Shin-Jan and me. Su Qing, how on earth did you and your boyfriend keep watch? A whole box of food disappeared and you didn't notice. The angry roar woke me up. General Manager Zhang stood in front of me. Kindness on his face was gone. He had just said that some supplies were missing. How could this be possible? These supplies were our hope of holding on. General Manager Zhang had repeatedly emphasized that they must be strictly guarded. In the conference room were all the company's leadership and senior employees. Naturally, the task of keeping watch fell on Shin-Jan and me. For 7 consecutive days, Shin-Jan and I took turns keeping watch over the supplies. Before dawn, Shin-Jan, feeling sorry for me, let me sleep for a while. But I was certain that no one had approached the supplies before that. General Manager Zhang, could it be a miscalculation? How about I count again? Su Qing, are you questioning your leader? General Manager Zhang pounded on the cabinet door in a rage. I was willing to let you stay and even shared food with you. This is how you repay me now. But General Manager Zhang, we really didn't lose the supplies. My words were drowned out by the surrounding discussions. A whole box of food disappeared, and you didn't notice. You two are really useless, wasting the food given by General Manager Zhang. Tisk, fortunately, they're not employees of my department. According to the company's rules and regulations, those who make mistakes must be punished. Either get out or go find the food for us. Facing the accusations of the crowd, my mind went blank. However, Shin-Jan beside me suddenly erupted and protected me in front of him. Where do you get the nerve? You only give us 1 piece of compressed biscuit a day, yet you make us do all the work. All you do is play cards, chat, and talk nonsense. And you call it getting through the difficult times together. Bullshit. The loss of food is everyone's responsibility. Don't try to shift the blame onto my girlfriend. Slap. A stout figure suddenly stepped forward and punched Shin-Jan to the ground. Who do you think you are to talk to us like this? Lu Jia, my immediate supervisor and a loyal sycophant of General Manager Zhang on ordinary days. This guy had harassed me a lot. He also always sent me some disgusting messages late at night. Seeing that Shin-Jan was about to get up and fight back, I reached out and stopped him. Shin-Jan was 2 years younger than me and had just graduated. He didn't know much about the workplace and the current situation. Those who stayed here were all General Manager Zhang's people. Just now, those strong male leaders had surrounded us from different directions. During the time I had been in the company, I had heard about General Manager Zhang's methods of dealing with employees who disobeyed orders. I was really afraid he would drive us out to be fed to the zombies. After several seconds of silence, after a long while, General Manager Zhang finally spoke. Lu Jia, forget it. We should unite as one and get through this difficult time. Then, General Manager Zhang walked up to Shin-Jan and me and said word by word, it's inevitable for young people to make mistakes. With the situation outside like this, I don't want to make things difficult for you. As he spoke, he glanced at the balcony behind him. I still have some supplies stockpiled in the small warehouse downstairs. As long as you climb down from the window and bring the supplies up, the matter of the lost supplies will be written off. By the way, You can also check the situation downstairs and try to find an opportunity to call for help. 03. What? My mind went blank, and I was completely stunned. It was Shenjan behind me, who couldn't hold back and started cursing first. Are you insane? This is the 8th floor. What if we fall? And can you guarantee that there are no zombies downstairs? No one knows the situation below. Sending us down is no different from murder. General Manager Zhang crossed his arms, leaned back in his chair, and eyed me disdainfully. What a huge offense it is to lose a whole box of food. I'm being extremely kind by giving you a chance. Either go down and get the supplies or get out of here. You choose. Go out? No, I can't go out. It's too dangerous outside. These past few days, I've seen more than once through the window that desperate survivors were torn to pieces by zombies. Let's go. We'll go. Looking at the indifferent General Manager Zhang and the aggressive leaders and colleagues around, I finally gave in. Hey, Zhang, you wait for me here. Ching, what are you talking about? If anyone is going down, it should be me. I'm a man. How could I let you, a girl, take such a risk? But it's all because of me that you're in this situation. Enough. General Manager Zhang interrupted us impatiently and then, along with Lu Jia, forcefully pushed me towards the window. Don't say I'm heartless. You two go down together. Let go of my girlfriend. We can go by ourselves. I climbed out onto the balcony. The cold, howling wind made me shiver. The sounds of zombies, which came from time to time, carried an ominous aura. At the height of the 8th floor, just one glance down made me feel dizzy. At this moment, a warm, large hand wrapped around me. Ching, if you're scared, just close your eyes. Wait for me here. I'll go get the supplies and bring them up. Shinjan smiled, his bangs fluttering in the wind, as unrestrained and flamboyant as when I first met him. Hurry up and go down. What are you dawdling for? Yeah, it's like we're forcing them. From the window, there were the cold-blooded leaders and colleagues, looking at us expressionlessly. Looking at Shinjan, I suddenly understood what my motivation was to survive in the apocalypse. Hey Jean, be careful. Don't worry. If I'm in danger, I'll run right away. Those zombies are stupid. They can't catch up with me. The moment he finished speaking, Shenjan flipped backward, crossed the railing, and slid down directly to the 7th floor balcony along the emergency escape route. His agile figure quickly disappeared on the 7th floor balcony. 1 second. 2 seconds. I silently counted the time in my heart, and prayed that Shenjan wouldn't have an accident. He's been gone for so long. Could he be dead? Hey, Su Qing, why don't you go down and check the situation too? I say, your boyfriend must have run off with a female zombie, ha ha ha. Shut up. Looking at those leaders and colleagues with fake smiles on their faces, I felt extremely nauseated for the first time. So people could really be this disgusting. Alright everyone, stop talking. Can't you see that little Sue is in a bad mood? General Manager Zhang looked at me, and put on his fake smile again. Little Sue, if you can't bring back the supplies, I still won't be able to convince everyone to let you stay. How about you go down and check the situation? Since he said so, what else could I do? Forcibly suppressing my fear of heights, I took a deep breath and climbed down to the 7th floor along the emergency escape route. As soon as I landed, I saw Shinjan running towards me, carrying a box of supplies. Behind him, several dark figures were in hot pursuit. They were zombies. Ching, why did you come down? Go up quickly. Shinjan stuffed the supplies into my hands, and then turned around, blocking the balcony window tightly. Those zombies rushed towards the balcony like crazy. Their longing for flesh made them even more frenzied. Bang! Bang! The sound of the zombies hitting the glass echoed in my mind with each impact. The glass began to crack. Shinjan simply couldn't withstand the impact of so many zombies. But he didn't retreat an inch. He just kept urging me to go up quickly. Ching, take the supplies and go up quickly. Once you're safe, I'll leave right away. Shinjan's words immediately woke me up. I used all my strength to carry the supplies and run towards the emergency escape route. But that box of supplies weighed at least 20 Jin. With it in my arms, I simply couldn't climb up to the 8th floor. Help! Help me, give me a hand. I looked at the colleagues by the window and begged them for help. As long as they gave me a hand, zombies couldn't climb the building. Once I got back to the 8th floor, Shenjan and I would be safe. General Manager Zhang, how about we give little Sue a hand? Sure, you go. Forget it. After all, little Sue is our employee. Besides, if something happens to little Sue, there will be no one to keep watch at night. General Manager Zhang assigned an old employee to climb out of the window, help me carry the supplies up, and then pull me back to the 8th floor. I was just about to tell Shinjan to leave, but General Manager Zhang suddenly gave the order to seal off the emergency escape route. What did you say? This idiot. He was told to find food, but actually led the zombies here. He's been gone for so long. He must have been bitten by a zombie. Never let him come up. As soon as General Manager Zhang finished speaking, the leaders and colleagues who had been watching the show all risked going towards the balcony. Right, we can't let the zombies in. Otherwise, we'll all be in danger. No, Shinjan wasn't bitten at all. You're killing him. I rushed towards the balcony like crazy, trying to stop them from sealing off the emergency escape route. But the fear of zombies had driven these people crazy. Lock the route. Pull Su Qing back. I was slapped, my clothes were torn, and my hair was disheveled. In the chaos, the window on the 7th floor finally shattered, and the crazy zombies kept swarming towards Shinjan. Among the bobbing zombie heads, Shinjan with blood all over his face, looked straight at me. He must be in so much pain. But why didn't he shout? Was it because he didn't want to worry me? I stared at Shinjan, not daring to blink. Suddenly, I saw Shinjan smile, a smile full of despair and relief. Live well. Then, he was dragged into the room by the zombies, and the sound of them chewing on flesh and bones resounded through the sky. Shinjan! Shinjan! At that moment, I felt the world darken. The last thing I saw was General Manager Zhang's cold face, and the box of food that was supposed to be missing, now lying quietly in the corner of the conference room. 04. Well, forget it, Su Qing. You can stay. I won't hold the previous matter against you. Little Su, General Manager Zhang didn't know the situation downstairs. This was for everyone's safety. I hope you understand. General Manager Zhang's cold words, and the persuasion of other senior leaders kept ringing in my ears. They never mentioned why the box of food that was supposed to be missing had suddenly appeared again. Perhaps someone had hidden that box of food to frame Shinjan and me. Perhaps this was simply General Manager Zhang's trap, aiming to make Shinjan and me go down to get food and confirm whether it was safe downstairs. But these no longer mattered. Shinjan was dead and would never come back. He was brutally forced to death by these bastards. Leaning against the railing, I slid to the ground completely exhausted. As soon as I closed my eyes, Shinjan's blood-covered face appeared in front of me. You'll get what's coming to you, I murmured softly. Whether it was General Manager Zhang or those cold-hearted leaders and colleagues, Shinjan was dead, and I had no meaning in living. I vowed that I would make all of them pay for Shinjan. 05. This was the first night without Shinjan. I wasn't asked to keep watch anymore. Instead, I was tied up in a corner with a hemp rope by General Manager Zhang and the others. General Manager Zhang said it was because he was afraid I would be so heartbroken that I would try to kill myself. In fact, he was afraid that I would take the opportunity when they weren't paying attention, move the sundries, open the door, and let the zombies in to die with them. Quite smart. But it's useless. Anyway, I must make them pay with their lives for Shinjan. I hung my head, biting my teeth hard. My hands, tied behind my back, were constantly straining secretly to grind the hemp rope, even though my wrists were rubbed until they were bloody and raw. But before I could succeed, a rough hand suddenly lifted my chin. Oh, little Su is Sokalan. Your eyes are all red. In front of me, the fat, big-eared old man smiled lewdly, and his thumb kept rubbing my chin. His chubby hand, along my torn collar, reached downwards. It was Lu Jia, my immediate supervisor. Not only was his work ability extremely poor, but he also always liked to harass female colleagues. Shinjan had warned Lu Jia and the company not to have any ideas about me. Therefore, he had always held a grudge against Shinjan. Today, he was the first to rush out and lock the emergency escape route. So disgusting. I moved back in disgust. Get away. What do you want? Don't be so fierce. The leader is just caring about you. As Lu Jia spoke, he squinted his eyes, which were almost squeezed shut by the fat, and his eyes slid straight to my legs. Look at you. Your legs are dirty from sitting on the ground. Manager Lu will help you wipe them. As soon as he finished speaking, he squatted down and reached out to touch my legs. Damn it. How did such a person become a leader? He must have some shady relationship with General Manager Zhang. Calling him a sycophant is an insult to dogs. Just in time, since you want to die, I'll send you on your way. Seeing that the disgusting hand had already touched my thigh, I forcibly suppressed my nausea and spoke. Manager Lu, I know what you want to do. You don't have to do this. I can be proactive. I quickly softened my voice and leaned towards Lu Jia obediently. He probably didn't expect me to do this. He was stunned for a moment, and his eyes quickly lit up. Su Qing, you're quite sensible. Don't worry. As long as you're with me, there will definitely be enough supplies and food. I know, but what's wrong? Just say it. Or, should we find a place where there's no one and have a good chat? It's not a big problem. It's just that my hands are tied so painfully. Can you go to General Manager Zhang to get scissors and cut the rope for me? The scissors and utility knives in the conference room were all under the unified custody of General Manager Zhang. Everyone had to get his permission to use them. I coyly turned sideways and showed Lu Jia my abraded wrists. Lu Jia looked back at the sleeping General Manager Zhang and hesitated. Well, I have a razor blade with me. How about I use the blade to help you? Manager Lu, a razor blade can't cut through a hemp rope. Or, are you afraid of General Manager Zhang? I quickly asked. Lu Jia was not only lecherous, but also very concerned about his face. This was his Achilles heel. Hearing me say this, Lu Jia's expression changed. Impossible. You wait. I'll go get them now. With that, he walked towards General Manager Zhang. After rummaging for a long time, Lu Jia finally found the scissors. He picked up the scissors and walked towards me. Feeling proud, aren't you? I smiled. The moment he raised the scissors, I shouted at the top of my voice. Lu Jia, what do you want to do to General Manager Zhang? Put down the scissors quickly. The shrill female voice echoed in the conference room. Suddenly, everyone opened their eyes. 06. General Manager Zhang was an extremely greedy person, and by nature, very suspicious. Now in the apocalypse, even the obedient sycophant subordinates from before might do unexpected things. I wanted to use General Manager Zhang's hand to get rid of the disgusting Lu Jia first. Lu Jia, what are you doing? As soon as General Manager Zhang opened his eyes and saw Lu Jia holding the scissors pointed at him, he shouted hastily, put down the scissors. No, Aishi. Lu Jie was so startled by the shout that he subconsciously threw the scissors aside and pointed at me to explain. Unfortunately, I didn't plan to give him a chance to speak. General Manager Zhang, don't be fooled by him. I just saw that he also has a razor blade on him. Lu Jie has always been dissatisfied with your distribution of supplies. Every night before, he came to me to ask for food. I shouted at the top of my voice, drowning out Lu Jie's whispers. As expected, General Manager Zhang's gaze towards Lu Jie turned vigilant. While retreating, he directed several other leaders. You guys come and check if he has a razor blade on him. General Manager Zhang, don't believe this bitch's words. Lu Jie was instantly pressed down onto the office desk. Amidst his wailing, several leaders found the razor blade for shaving from the pocket on his chest side. The power of preconception is formidable. The moment the razor blade was exposed, General Manager Zhang's eyes immediately became extremely sharp. Lu Jie, you've been working in the company for several years. I've treated you well, haven't I? How could you want to kill me? You ungrateful wretch. Are you coveting these supplies? Let me tell you, the supplies belong to everyone. Don't even think about monopolizing them alone. As General Manager Zhang spoke, he casually kicked Lu Jie. Lu Jie was thus heavily kicked to the corner, and took a long time to get up. Well kicked. I secretly chuckled, watching this dog-eat-dog fight with great interest. General Manager Zhang. Lu Jie's voice trembled, as he still wanted to say something to General Manager Zhang. But General Manager Zhang didn't give him a chance to finish. You guys untie little Sue and tie up Lu Jie. After giving those instructions, General Manager Zhang walked up to me, and smiled extremely amiably, just like he did at the company meeting. Little Sue, we really owe you a lot tonight. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. Everyone listen up. From now on, little Sue is my own sister. Here, take these foods and eat your fill. You've been keeping watch these past few days. It's really been tough on you. I knew clearly that General Manager Zhang was doing this not only to buy me off, but also to show the other leaders and colleagues. Kill the chicken to warn the monkeys, and Lu Jie was that chicken. As for others, if they dared to be unfavorable to General Manager Zhang, Lu Jie's fate awaited them. Conversely, like I did just now, standing on General Manager Zhang's side, and being his sycophant, one could get more food. General Manager Zhang, what a deep scheming man. You calculated Shinjan and me like this too, right? What's wrong, little Sue? General Manager Zhang patted me on the shoulder. I know you're resentful because of Shinjan's sacrifice. If you're still not appeased, how about I let you slap me a few times to vent your anger? After saying that, he actually grabbed my hand and slapped it on his face. No, there's no need. I feigned surprise and appeared extremely apprehensive. Well, let the past be the past. From now on, we'll get along well and wait for the rescue together, okay? Only then did General Manager Zhang retract his hand and smile. I took a deep breath. After a long time, I nodded and smiled. Okay, from now on, we'll all be under General Manager Zhang's leadership and wait for the rescue. I will never forgive General Manager Zhang for Shinjan's death. How could just a few slaps be enough? But I know very well that I'm no match for General Manager Zhang. Taking this opportunity, I need to gain his trust, conserve my strength, and wait for the right moment to take revenge. However, looking at General Manager Zhang, who was smiling amiably in front of me, I felt a strange sense of unease in my heart. 07. In the following few days, General Manager Zhang took good care of me with delicious food and drinks. Of course I knew that everything was off, but the food packaging he gave me was intact, and he didn't create any more trouble. Could it be that General Manager Zhang had really let down his guard against me? Just as I was looking for an opportunity to take revenge on General Manager Zhang again, he suddenly announced an explosive piece of news in the conference room. Just now my phone suddenly got a signal, and I received a message. Let me read it to everyone. If any survivors receive this message, please stay where you are and wait for the rescue team. Also, try to attract the attention of the rescue team as much as possible to increase the probability of survival. Leaders and colleagues, do you understand what this means? We're about to be saved. After General Manager Zhang finished speaking, the conference room was silent for at least 5 seconds. 5 seconds later, everyone erupted into deafening roars at the same time. Great, we'll be able to get out soon. Yeah, I really don't want to stay here anymore. The cheers of celebration continued one after another. But still someone noticed the key point. That message also said something about attracting the attention of the rescue team, right? After that person finished speaking, the conference room fell silent again. Soon, General Manager Zhang picked up the conversation. Don't worry everyone. I've already thought of a way for us. Do you know about lighting a longyan? The floating smoke is eye-catching enough. However, lighting a fire in the conference room poses a risk of burning the supplies. Do you guys have any good solutions to this problem? What kind of problem is this? I secretly rolled my eyes. Those supplies were all stored in cabinets, and there was a layer of glass outside the cabinets for protection. How could they catch fire? But the others didn't think so. They actually followed General Manager Zhang's train of thought, and started discussing how to solve this problem. Some said to move the cabinets to the place farthest from the window. Some said to send someone to keep an eye on the fire at all times. But General Manager Zhang rejected all of them. Someone whispered, actually it's very simple, isn't it? As long as the fire source is not in the conference room, let someone climb to the top of the building to light it. Who came up with this idea? Who can guarantee whether there are zombies on the roof? And climbing the balcony, as Xinjiang had already proven, was not feasible. Is this person crazy? I immediately frowned and turned around to find out who had said this. But the people were all crowded together, and it was impossible to see who was speaking. But soon I realized that there was no need to look. Everyone started to agree with this idea. General Manager Zhang also nodded in satisfaction. Very good. But now a new problem arises. Who will go up and do this? Well, the previously talkative crowd suddenly fell silent. Human nature is selfish. No one would be willing to sacrifice themselves for others. I have a proposal. General Manager Zhang continued with a smile. His eyes kept looking at me from time to time. The food we distribute to everyone every day is limited. It's difficult to climb to the top of the building on an empty stomach. I think the person who has eaten the most recently should go and light the Long Yan. Damn. As I listened to these words, an ominous premonition suddenly rose in my heart, and my blood seemed to stop flowing. Sure enough, the next moment, everyone turned around and looked at me in unison. In the strange atmosphere, General Manager Zhang's brisk voice came from the front. Little Sue, I'm the president of the company. As the person I trust the most, you must be willing to contribute to the company. You've eaten so much food these past few days. Everyone is expecting you to go. You can't let down my supplies and everyone's expectations, can you? I clenched my fists tightly, trembling with anger and almost suffocating. I still underestimated General Manager Zhang. So, he had always wanted to get rid of me. These past few days, giving me food and asking for my forgiveness were all to force me to climb to the top of the building justifiably in front of these people. After all, I still couldn't outwit this old fox, General Manager Zhang. 08. Little Sue isn't speaking. Does that mean she agrees? Great, Manager Wang and Manager Wei. Go and give Little Sue a hand. Little Sue will remember you. When we're saved, I'll promote you and give you a raise. Wait, what do you mean by agreeing? I hadn't even reacted yet when two male leaders in the crowd walked out, and each grabbed one of my arms. What are you doing? Let go of me. I haven't agreed. I struggled but was still pushed to the balcony. No matter how much I resisted, it had no effect at all. A sense of powerlessness crept all over my body along with their strength. I could only hold back my tears and plead with them humbly. Don't do this. Let me go. You're killing me. I haven't taken revenge yet. I can't let Xinjiang die in vain. But my pleas seemed like a joke to these people. They sneered and unhesitatingly pushed my body out. I was forced to grab the water pipe outside and try to climb up. But I spent almost all my time at work on weekdays and hardly exercised. The strength in my hands simply couldn't support my body. I could only watch as my fingers gradually lost strength and loosened. Finally, I quietly slipped. I fell heavily onto the balcony on the 7th floor. The inertia caused me to roll several times, and I rolled into the room just like that. The windowsill was covered with dried and coagulated blood. A few days ago, Shenzhen was torn to pieces by zombies right here. My whole body hurt as if it was being torn apart. With great difficulty, I raised my head, and what came into view was the black blood-covered faces of several zombies. At that moment, fear took over my whole body, and I completely lost my ability to think. Am I going to die? Ajan, see you in the next life. I resigned myself and closed my eyes. But the imagined biting never came. Instead, a zombie's roar suddenly sounded beside me, followed by a chaotic but rapid series of footsteps. What's going on? Forcibly enduring the severe pain in my body, I opened my eyes with all my might. In front of me were a pair of faintly bluish feet, which clearly didn't have the skin color of a human. Is it a zombie? But if it's a zombie, why didn't it bite me? Where did those few zombies go just now? Full of questions, I no longer cared about the wounds on my body and struggled to get up. This time, I finally saw the face of the zombie in front of me clearly. Ajan. 09. The zombie in front of me had a well-defined face and a pair of extremely beautiful eyes. Although there was no longer the familiar look in his eyes, I could still recognize that this was Xinjiang, my Ajan. He had turned into a zombie, but he didn't attack me. There were several scratches and bites of various sizes on Xinjiang's body. I suddenly realized that he was the one who had driven away those few zombies just now. Even after turning into a zombie, Xinjiang was still thinking about protecting me. An overwhelming sense of grievance suddenly welled up from the bottom of my heart to my eyes. I could no longer hold back, and threw myself into Xinjiang's arms. Ajan. Ajan. The person in front of me seemed to stiffen for a moment, but ultimately he didn't move. By the time I calmed down, the sun was gradually setting. After all the grievances and unwillingness in my heart were vented, hatred uncontrollably swept through my whole body. General Manager Zhang, Lu Jia, and all those people in the conference room, who had ignored everything should all pay the price. I turned around and held Xinjiang, who had turned into a zombie but was still protecting me. Ajan, you'll help me, right? Xinjiang didn't speak, but I knew he would. Without hesitation, I rushed straight to the door, opened it and rushed out. In an instant, countless zombies rushed towards me. But halfway through, they seemed to stop consciously and watch from a distance, as if they were somewhat afraid of me, or rather, of Xinjiang behind me. Ajan, did you beat them all up these days? Xinjiang didn't speak, but his growl towards the zombie horde had already explained this. I dragged my painful body, and followed Xinjiang through the zombie horde. Those zombies didn't dare to get close to Xinjiang. Some even ran away directly. But suddenly, a faint voice interrupted me. Is there a living person? Save me. Is there a living person? I immediately became alert and looked around. I'm here. The woman called softly. This time, I finally heard where the sound was coming from. It was in the conference room next to me with the door tightly closed. And the woman's voice was also very familiar. Sister Mo, is that you? I quickly replied. Sister Mo was one of my favorite colleagues in the department. She was smart, had a high EQ, and knew how to measure. She always helped newbies whenever she could. When I first joined the company, she silently helped me a lot. It's me. Are you little Sue? You. Since you can stay outside for so long, can you help me find some food? Sister Mo said and quickly added. I know. Life up there hasn't been easy for you. I have something about General Manager Zhang. As long as you take it up, General Manager Zhang is finished. I know you hate him. Sister Mo's voice was very soft, and her tone was very calm, as if she was very weak. But the words she said really made me uncontrollably get goosebumps all over. How did Sister Mo know the situation above? And what was the thing she mentioned? 10. You don't need to doubt me. I saw it all when you and your boyfriend ran up to the top floor that day. It's great that you're still alive. Otherwise, the secret about General Manager Zhang might never be known to anyone. A faint sound came from the door. Sister Mo seemed to be leaning against the door, completely exhausted as she said these words. Judging from the situation, she had been hungry for many days and couldn't hold on much longer. Sister Mo, hold on. I'll go find you something to eat. I wanted to save Sister Mo, and was even more eager to obtain the information she had about General Manager Zhang. Anyway, with Shenjian by my side, zombies could no longer pose a threat to my safety. Besides the 8th floor, there were also food and water in other parts of the office building. Soon, I gathered enough food and handed it to Sister Mo from above the window. Thank you, little Sue. Sister Mo took the food and wolfed it down. She was really starving. Actually, I was originally going to the conference room too, waiting for rescue there just like you guys. But I accidentally learned that secret, so I didn't dare to go. Little Sue, as long as you spread this secret, that Zhang fellow is done for. After saying that, Sister Mo stuffed a piece of paper into my hand. This is what you need. Also be careful of your supervisor Lu Jia. He's not a good person. I already know that. I took the piece of paper inside. I was just about to open it and see what was written on it. But it seemed that Sister Mo hadn't finished speaking. Are you sure you know? What did she mean? I was slightly stunned. Just as I was about to open my mouth to ask, Sister Mo spoke first. General Manager Zhang is Lu Jia's brother-in-law. They often conspire to do dirty deeds together. One plays the tough guy, and the other plays the nice guy. Sister Mo stared at me intently through the window. I had an intern under me who was, in short, you must be careful and don't believe a single word they say. These two are simply beasts. Little Sue, the rescue is coming soon. You must hold on. After saying these words, Sister Mo drew the curtains of the conference room and disappeared from my sight. The more I thought about it, the colder I felt all over. At first, I naively thought that General Manager Zhang was sincerely leading everyone to wait for the rescue. Forcibly suppressing the surging anger, I gritted my teeth and opened the piece of paper. The content of the paper made me tremble with anger. It was a piece of scrap paper with several circles drawn on it. Words were casually written inside the circles, as if someone had taken notes while on the phone. It clearly stated in 1 month, zombie virus, and hurry to stockpile supplies. It was in General Manager Zhang's handwriting. 11. There was a period when our company hadn't started using DingTalk yet. At that time, in order to apply for leave, I deliberately imitated General Manager Zhang's handwriting. There was no mistake. These words were written by General Manager Zhang. But what did this mean? Could it be that General Manager Zhang knew in advance that the zombie virus would break out? I stared in disbelief, my mind constantly flashing back to the events that had occurred a month ago. First, the conference room on the 8th floor was suddenly emptied. Then, using the company's activities as an excuse, General Manager Zhang purchased a large quantity of food and water. Subsequently, box after box of things were continuously carried up to the 8th floor. How could there be such a coincidence? Exactly 1 month later, the zombie crisis broke out. Exactly on the 8th floor, there were sufficient supplies stockpiled. And exactly on the day of the zombie crisis outbreak, General Manager Zhang took all the senior leaders of the company to the 8th floor. In the past few days, in order to exchange for supplies and food, more and more leaders had transferred their shares and properties to General Manager Zhang. General Manager Zhang knew that the zombie virus would break out, and even knew the exact time. Yet he didn't say anything, not even a word. No wonder Sister Mo didn't dare to go to the 8th floor. She had already anticipated what would happen there. This zombie virus that swept through the city had become a springboard for General Manager Zhang to extract profits. That bastard had indirectly caused the deaths of so many people. I know what to do, Zhan. I turned around and took Shenjian's hand, which I had cleaned spotless. Don't worry, I won't let you get your hands dirty. I'll make that Zhang fellow, and I'll make all of them pay the price. Shenjian, of course, didn't answer, and there wasn't even a change in his expression. He had become a walking corpse and would never come back. Recalling Shenjian's youthful and vibrant appearance in the past, I frowned and step by step, walked up the stairs to the 8th floor again, firmly heading towards that familiar conference room. Then I broke the glass, took out the fire hammer, and slammed it hard against the tightly closed door. Bang! Ah! Amidst the loud noise of the door lock shattering, There were several screams. I ignored them and led Xinjian straight into the conference room. Su Qing. Xinjian. My God. Are you people or ghosts? The people inside were instantly terrified when they saw us. Looking at their panicked expressions, I just found it ridiculous. What do you think? Didn't you personally push us down? Why can't you tell whether we're people or ghosts now? Su Qing. You failed to light the Long Yan, and you still have the nerve to come back? Get out of here now. Perhaps seeing that I could still talk, General Manager Zhang grew a bit bolder, and actually started blaming me. Lu Jia, who had been tied up in the corner, and on the verge of death, was now standing beside General Manager Zhang in perfect condition, chiming in. You two useless people. You didn't accomplish a single thing that General Manager Zhang told you to do. General Manager Zhang won't give you any more food. Did they think I came back for food? I sneered silently, and waved to Xinjian behind me. Xinjian immediately stepped out of the shadows. A zombie. He's turned into a zombie, someone shrieked. It was already dark outside, and the office building had long since lost power. That's why this group of people hadn't noticed anything strange about Xinjian. Now, they could clearly see Xinjian's bluish skin, and completely white pupils, and they were so terrified that they didn't even dare to breathe. I chuckled, took Xinjian's hand, and took a few steps forward. Now do you know why we're back, leaders? What? What do you want? There are only two of you. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Some people pleaded for mercy, while others tried to resist. I wasn't too surprised that some people wanted to resist. After all, there were only two of us. And with so many of them, they could still fight back and kill us if they gave it a try. Moreover, I didn't intend to let Jean get his hands dirty. Don't worry, leaders. I'm not here to harm you. I'm here to help you. As I spoke, I walked slowly to the cabinet containing the supplies. There are some things I think I should tell you. After all, it concerns your families. What nonsense are you spouting? Get out of here now. General Manager Zhang, who had been cowering in the corner since discovering that Xinjian was a zombie, suddenly jumped out. I ignored him, turned around, and pulled open the cabinet door, yanking out a long invoice from inside. Yes, when I was organizing the supplies before, I had already found this invoice. But at that time, I didn't know the truth, and didn't pay much attention to such things. But now, it came in handy just in time. Take a look at this list. General Manager Zhang, you just happened to buy these supplies a month before the zombie outbreak. And you also made the decision to empty the conference room a month ago, right? I looked at General Manager Zhang with a smile in my eyes. What a coincidence. I have a piece of paper in my hand, on which it's written that the zombie outbreak will occur in 1 month. And it's in your handwriting, General Manager Zhang. 12. What does this prove? Can you prove that I wrote this piece of paper? Don't spout malicious lies here. General Manager Zhang stared fixedly at the piece of paper in my hand, his eyes almost popping out in anger. But I didn't give him a chance to finish speaking. I can prove it. I found this piece of paper in the conference room on the 7th floor. After the zombie outbreak, General Manager Zhang has been here and hasn't gone out, right? So this piece of paper was written before the zombie outbreak. Leaders, think about it carefully. Although he saved you, it was all for his own interests. In the past few days, how many things has he exchanged for food from you? If General Manager Zhang had mentioned it when he knew the zombie outbreak was going to happen, even just a word, with your wisdom, you leaders would surely have noticed something was wrong. Then maybe your families could have been safe and wouldn't be trapped and dying here like now. I let out all these words in one breath. I knew the evidence in my hand was still flimsy, but for these selfish people, planting a seed of doubt was enough. Before, they could stand by General Manager Zhang's side because of their interests. Now, of course, they could also rebel against General Manager Zhang because of their interests. Actually, I thought something was wrong before. How come there were so many supplies in the company right after the zombie virus broke out? If all this is true then, damn you Zhang, give back my shares. As expected, everyone's gaze turned to General Manager Zhang. General Manager Zhang panicked. This was the first time I had seen him wear such an expression. Comrades, don't listen to her nonsense. I don't know anything. All this is just a coincidence. What can a few words prove? What she said is just made up out of thin air. If it weren't for me, you would have been fed to the zombies already. He started to refute, just as I expected. Is that so? I smiled and interrupted General Manager Zhang's words. Then do you dare to hand over your phone, and let everyone take a look? The moment I finished speaking, I saw General Manager Zhang's face instantly lose its color. I knew I had gambled correctly. General Manager Zhang had said in the conference room, before that his phone had received a signal, and he had also received a text message sent from above. But the signal was only temporary. I didn't believe it. A few days before forcing me to go down, General Manager Zhang was extremely generous, and even didn't control everyone's use of supplies. If there wasn't definite information telling General Manager Zhang when the rescue would arrive, I didn't believe he would dare to use supplies so recklessly. Since General Manager Zhang could receive messages from the outside world, there must be evidence left behind. General Manager Zhang, what are you waiting for? Take out your phone and show it to everyone. I sneered. Everyone is watching. If you don't speak up, it's as good as admitting it. Inciting the crowd, and using the default admission. These were the tricks that General Manager Zhang had used on me. I'm returning all of them to him. 13. In the very center of the conference room, General Manager Zhang stood there stiffly alone. There was an empty space around him, as if it was a stage specially reserved for him. As the leading actor, of course, he didn't disappoint everyone's expectations. He was trembling all over and sweating profusely. His hand had been in his pocket for a long time, but he still hadn't taken out anything. At this point, these old hands who had been struggling in the workplace for many years naturally understood the truth of the matter. The anger in their eyes could almost tear General Manager Zhang apart. Zhang, why didn't you tell us? My daughter is only 3 years old. Damn it. You just wanted to take away all our shares, didn't you? Woohoo. Wife. Son, I'm sorry for you. I stood in the crowd. When the resentment of the crowd reached its peak, I spoke softly. And Lu Jie. Lu Jie is General Manager Zhang's brother-in-law. Now only their family is living well. Why? We should make them atone for their sins. Let them go to the top of the building to light the Longyan. I said I would make them pay one by one. Right. Given the situation, General Manager Zhang, you should also compensate us. And Lu Jie, the two of you go up together. You can take care of each other. How nice. Amidst the increasingly terrified looks of Lu Jie and General Manager Zhang, the others spoke one after another and rushed forward. General Manager Zhang naturally still wanted to argue a few more words. No, you can't treat me like this. All the food here was bought by me. It's all mine. I gave you food and drink, gave you jobs, and enabled you to pay off your mortgages. I'm your breadwinner. Who dares to touch me? Unfortunately, it was just a display of impotent rage. Seeing that the timing was ripe, I continued with a smile. Everyone, since they're unwilling, let's give them a little help then. Su Qing, shut up. You bitch. All of this is Su Qing's conspiracy. Everyone don't listen to her. Lu Jie roared at me, but no one paid attention to him. Guys, don't be like this. We can talk things out. Amidst Lu Jie's screams, he was the first to be grabbed and pushed to the balcony. General Manager Zhang followed closely behind. Just like me that day, they were completely unable to fight back, and could only watch helplessly as their bodies were pushed out towards the balcony. Wait a moment. Just as they were struggling to climb up, I spoke up and stopped those people's actions. 14. It wasn't that I was soft-hearted. I just had something else to confirm. Moreover, watching these two lie on the railing for a while longer made me feel satisfied. The phone is in General Manager Zhang's pocket, right? I walked to General Manager Zhang's side and looked thoughtfully at his pants pocket. The time I was pushed down, all the schemes behind it were just speculations, and there was no evidence to prove them true. Perhaps the phone held the answers I was looking for. General Manager Zhang probably didn't expect me to want the phone at this moment. He was stunned for a moment before replying. Yes, it's in my pocket. If you let them put me down, I'll give you the phone. Otherwise I won't. You. I didn't have the time to listen to his ranting. I directly reached out and took the phone from his pocket. This is theft. It's robbery. I can sue you, do you know that? General Manager Zhang struggled furiously. Give it back to me. Otherwise, tell them to let me down, or I'll sue you to the ends of the earth. I'll make my lawyer sue you until you're bankrupt and send you to jail. So now he knows there's such a thing as the law. When he forced me and Xinjiang to our deaths, why didn't he think about the law? I didn't respond, just gave a disdainful smile. Then I casually stretched the phone screen in front of his face, unlocked it, and started rummaging through it on my own. A phone holds the most secrets of a person. Before long, through messages, memos, and emails, I pieced together the truth of the matter. The truth was pretty much as I had guessed. The initial incident of the missing supplies was indeed a conspiracy by General Manager Zhang and Lu Jie. Their purpose was to figure out the situation in the office building, so that they could formulate their next plan. Later, when I was forced to jump down, it was also Lu Jie's idea. That act of self-sacrifice caught me completely off guard. And 2 months ago, General Manager Zhang already knew that the zombie virus might break out. Everything that had happened here was all part of his plan. Su Qing, you've seen it too. Actually, I didn't do much. All those were Lu Jie's ideas. The blame lies with the right person. You just need to go after him. It has nothing to do with me. Please have mercy on me. My wife and children are still waiting for me to go back. As long as you let me go, I'll give you 10% of the company's shares. No, 20%. The zombie virus will be over soon. You should also think about your future. General Manager Zhang no longer had that haughty arrogance. He even started shifting the blame onto Lu Jie. But Lu Jie wasn't someone who would swallow his grievances. Zhang Peng, are you even human? What did you promise my sister when she died? Now you're actually trying to kill me. Damn it. Did the interns I let you have fun with go to waste? Zhang Peng, you can't be ungrateful. If you dare to sell me out, I'll tell everyone everything you've done. They actually started arguing like this, and the content was getting more and more unpleasant. Listening to their words, I felt so angry that I was shivering all over. It turned out that in the corners I couldn't see, the black hands of General Manager Zhang and Lu Jie had already spread out. I didn't know how many young girls had been persecuted by them. If it wasn't for Xinjiang picking me up after every drinking party, and if it wasn't for Xinjiang repeatedly warning Lu Jie to stay away from me, I'm afraid. Enough. They did all of this. Now you can do whatever you want. I won't tell anyone what happened today. I turned around and said to the angry crowd, push them both out. Su Qing, you won't die a good death. If we die, you'll be next. I won't let you off. 2 sounds of heavy objects hitting the ground clearly came. Jinjie's ear-piercing screams sounded downstairs, lingering in the air above the office building and not dissipating for a long time. 15. Before coming up, I specifically asked Xinjiang to gather a group of zombies on the 7th floor. Those zombies had been hungry for a long time, but what awaited General Manager Zhang and Lu Jia would definitely not be a quick death. If zombies could really communicate with each other, then that group of zombies wouldn't bite them to death immediately. Instead, as I had told Xinjiang, they would slowly tear at their bodies first, torturing them until they died slowly. Judging from the continuous screams downstairs, zombies really could communicate with each other. I smiled in satisfaction, opened my eyes, and looked at the somewhat excited people in this conference room. You leaders really have great courage. The two masterminds had received their comeuppance. Now it was their turn. Su Qing, we know you and your boyfriend suffered grievances from those two. But actually, we have no enmity with you. How about we stop here? A burly man in the crowd stood up and said to me with a smile. Another man wearing glasses wasn't to be outdone. Yeah, now those two are dead, and the zombie virus is almost over. What are you and your boyfriend still doing here? Leave quickly. After all, these people were still afraid of Xinjiang, which was why they were being so polite. The higher one's position, the more selfish they are. If it wasn't for Xinjiang, I would probably have been driven out by them and become food for the zombies. I lowered my eyes and hid the mockery in my eyes. Indeed, we should leave. But before we go, we still need to give you leaders a word of advice. The zombie virus is almost over, and the official rescue team is on its way. However, the building is full of zombies, and the apocalypse isn't over yet. The supplies here don't seem to be enough. How long can you last? Having too many people with different opinions isn't a good thing in the apocalypse. Looking at their increasingly solemn expressions and the wary looks they gave each other, I smiled and nodded. One person in charge is enough. Goodbye, leaders. I wish you all the best of luck. After saying that, I left the conference room with Xinjiang, but I didn't really leave. Instead, I went to the window and secretly observed the situation inside through the gap in the curtains. This trick of sowing discord was quite obvious, but it didn't matter. I believed that under the temptation of supplies and the impulse of having just killed two people, they wouldn't be able to stay calm. Su Qing is right. I think we should choose someone to distribute the supplies. You mean yourself, right? Heh, now that General Manager Zhang is dead, I have the highest position level. I should be the person in charge. What's the use of just having a high position level? Now why are you still acting like a leader? As expected, the people in the conference room seemed to be ignited. They argued noisily, and their voices got louder and louder. The argument gradually turned into shoving, and then developed into a fight, a brawl. The burly man who had come out to talk to me just now picked up the person in front of him, without saying a word, and directly threw him off the balcony. One scream after another came from inside, until there was no sound at all. I took a deep breath, and turned my gaze to Xinjiang behind me. It's great. Everything is over. Hey Jean, let's go. Let's leave this place. As I spoke, I took Xinjiang's hand, lifted my heavy legs and walked downstairs. But when I reached the corridor of the stairwell, I saw a thick black smoke through the window. This is someone lit the Long Yan. 16. I had looked at General Manager Zhang's phone before. What he said about receiving a text message from the official side wasn't false. How could I have forgotten about this? Since he could receive the text message, perhaps others could too. There were definitely more living people in this building than just us. It's over. Hey Jean, let's go quickly. I no longer cared about checking on the 7th floor whether General Manager Zhang and Lu Jia were completely dead. I grabbed Xinjiang's hand and ran towards the door on the 1st floor. If Xinjiang was discovered by the arriving rescue team, he would definitely be killed as a zombie. I couldn't lose Xinjiang for the second time. Absolutely not. The sense of unease in my heart grew stronger and stronger, and I quickened my pace again. I rushed straight to the 1st floor, and the door of the office building was right in front of me. But the next second, I suddenly stopped in my tracks. It was already too late. Outside the transparent glass building, a group of dark figures appeared. They were holding guns and quickly eliminated the surrounding zombies. Those bullets precisely penetrated the eyebrows of the zombies. In my eyes, it was as if they were penetrating Xinjiang's eyebrows. What should I do? What should I do? Hey, Jean, come with me quickly. I grabbed Xinjiang's hand and dragged him all the way to the corner under the stairs. There was no exit upstairs. Running up there would be like seeking death. Only by hiding here did we have a slim chance of survival. I hoped they wouldn't see us. Please don't. Captain, the surrounding zombies have been eliminated. The voice of a rescue team member came from afar. I could tell that they were walking into the building. Soon another person replied to him. Received. Now assign the tasks. Team 1 is responsible for guarding the 1st floor. Teams 2 and 3 will search upwards from the left and right staircases respectively. Rescue the survivors and eliminate the zombies. Ensure the safety of the survivors at all costs. Received. The uniform voices resounded throughout the building. Jinjieja. Countless footsteps rushed upwards from above our heads. It seemed that no one had discovered that we were hiding here. I let out a slight sigh of relief, and Wojinla Xinjiang's cold hand. But the next second, someone stopped at the stairway. Has it been searched under the stairs? No, but the space there is limited. There can't be any zombies hiding there, right? Follow the captain's orders. Prioritize the search of the office building, with the scope set around the area of the smoke. After a pause, someone else said, just to be safe, ensure the safety of every corner. All right, take a look to be sure. No. I bit my lower lip tightly and desperately shrank back with Xinjiang. But the shadow of that person was getting closer and closer. It was over. There was no way to avoid it. I didn't know where the courage came from, but I simply made up my mind and dragged Xinjiang out of the stairway. Those few rescue team members seemed to be startled by this sudden scene, and no one reached out to stop us. Our feet were almost out of the glass door. Stop. Don't run. I'll shoot if you run again. 17. The sound of the bullet being loaded wasn't small. I was startled and immediately stopped. Xinjiang behind me also stopped. We're here to rescue you. Why are you running? Turn around. That person shouted at us. What else could I do? They had guns and outnumbered us. I could only relax all my strength, let go of Xinjiang's hand, and slowly turn around. Naturally, Xinjiang turned around with me. The moment they saw Xinjiang's face clearly, those rescue team members all widened their eyes. Damn it, this guy is a zombie. Then why isn't he biting this woman? She looks human. They discussed in whispers, but the lobby on the first floor wasn't spacious, and I heard everything. I clenched my fists tightly. After thinking for a moment, I decided to tell them the truth. He's my boyfriend. Although he's turned into a zombie, he's very obedient. He hasn't hurt anyone since he became a zombie. This wasn't a lie. The deaths of General Manager Zhang and Lu Jia were caused by those senior leaders. It had nothing to do with Xinjiang. I calmed myself down, pulled Xinjiang back towards the corner, and pleaded with them. Look, there isn't even a trace of blood on his hands. I'm telling the truth. Can you spare him? A few team members seemed to be encountering this situation for the first time. They could only hold their guns and look at each other in dismay. Although it was hard to believe, as a zombie, Xinjiang had indeed been obediently following behind me and showed no tendency to attack humans. Don't move. Squat down and put on the handcuffs first. We'll take you back. Tell your boyfriend not to make any rash moves. Otherwise, we'll deal with him right now. 3 team members slowly walked towards us. But suddenly, a roar broke the silence. Countless zombies rushed out from the stairway. The moment they saw the 3 team members, they immediately pounced on them. These were the zombies that had been locked on the 7th floor before. And now they had all rushed out. I saw that General Manager Zhang and Lu Jia were also in the group. They had also turned into zombies. Why are there so many zombies here? Red alert! Red alert! Team D1 calling for backup. Fire! The sounds of gunshots and zombie roars mixed together. Looking at the horde of zombies in front of me, I was at a loss. How could this happen, Zhang? How could this happen? I just wanted General Manager Zhang and Lu Jia to pay the price. How could it turn out like this? I had put the rescue workers in danger. I couldn't imagine what would happen next. A sense of guilt and powerlessness filled my body. Just then, a hand touched the top of my head, bringing a refreshing warmth. Zhang. I widened my eyes and suddenly looked up at Xinjiang. I saw his hand resting on my head. Although there was no expression on his face, I seemed to see a trace of a smile. Then he put down his hand and rushed towards the horde of zombies without hesitation, leaving me with only a determined back. Of course I knew what Zhang was going to do. Of course I did. But my vision blurred and I collapsed to the ground. 18. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. I sat in front of a tombstone, gently sweeping away the dust that had fallen on it. Hey, Zhang, just yesterday the last zombie died. The number of zombies has been cleared to 0. There are no more zombies in this world. I trembled as I placed my hand on the top of the tombstone, on that familiar face. If you're watching over me from heaven, you can surely rest in peace now, right? Yes, Xinjiang had still died. He had single-handedly stopped all the zombies and saved those 3 team members. But he had also been torn to pieces by the frenzied horde of zombies. I didn't blame anyone. I only blamed myself. If I hadn't been blinded by hatred, if I had taken Zhang away from the company earlier, would everything have been okay? I asked softly. Xinjiang didn't respond. That day, after Xinjiang fell, I also fainted. When I woke up, I was already in a hospital ward at the base, living like a walking corpse every day. Soon scientists developed a vaccine for the zombie virus. After the experiment was successful, it was promoted worldwide. The planet seemed to have returned to its former beauty, but those who had left would never come back. Sigh. I let out a long sigh, stood up, and looked at the blue sky in front of me. It's almost time. I have to go, Zhang. Before the apocalypse, you said your dream was to travel around the world. So I'm going to set off now, carrying your dream and moving forward. You'll always be by my side, right? Of course, there was still no response. I was already used to this kind of talking to myself. I smiled softly, put down the bouquet of flowers, and then walked away from the cemetery. But I left in a hurry, and didn't notice that after I turned around, a white butterfly flew out of the bouquet of flowers, and followed beside me all the way until I stepped out of the cemetery gate. The butterfly flapped its wings and flew into the sky, as if waving, as if saying goodbye. Then it turned around and disappeared, and I walked forward without looking back. The end.